Okay, so open meeting, 6:32 PM. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys.
Stop. Gotta take that one.
I gotta take it. Okay, we have Seth here. I saw Joe, but I guess he's not gonna be here, so Seth, welcome.
Thank you.
Fire chief is always welcome here. You know?
I'm here to answer any of your questions relating to ARPA.
Okay.
So,
Minutes, you guys wanna approve the minutes?
I just saw two very minor typos.
No, not me.
In the first section under general discussion, this ladder truck will need to be, I think it's supposed to say replaced.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And then the two lines down, FEMA, I think has an extra M in it there.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, that's all I saw.
Yeah, one last thing on the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, I can't remember what meeting it was that we approved, but it wasn't the second. So reviewed minutes from the last meeting on 3/2, but, so it was a meeting prior to that, because the 3/2 was this meeting. See what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what, I think it was back in December or something, I can't remember now.
Yeah. Then we didn't meet in February?
I can't remember. We might have, Mike, but anyway, it wasn't that it'll just need, that date needs to be changed.
Okay. Okay, so how'd the meeting go last one? Pretty good?
Yeah, it was very short. Well, I wouldn't say it was very short.
It was an hour.
Yeah, it was an hour.
Okay.
And we didn't, we had some good conversation with Seth and Joe. I mean, this wraps it up pretty good, actually.
There was a lot more discussion
Yeah.
towards the end that really wasn't anything.
Okay,
I left a lot of the talk we had going on out, but
okay.
a lot of Joe's concerns and stuff, and
Just a general,
briefly summarized.
if I should win the selectmen's election, I promise you I will still stay on this committee.
I was gonna ask you that, but I decided not to.
No, I'll be more of a liaison,
There you go.
because sitting on the board in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mitch
I'll
did it.
take
Mitch did it for a while.
Mitch did it, yeah.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, ARPA, you all have a sheets in front of you? What I wanted to do tonight was, because we're meeting with the select board on the 24th, which is Monday, is to go through and pick out items. There's about 840-some thousand, I believe, in ARPA funds. Paul, is that about right?
It's actually less.
A little less now?
It's a little less now.
Okay.
770, is that the number?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're trying to do is to, and they asked, the last meeting where I was at the select board meeting where I was there, they asked us for a list of the things that we could bring to them that could help, that could be funded through ARPA. Now, the list you have is a 5-year list. I pretty much took everything from the 5 years and just put it on there with its dollar value. So if there's some items that you think in 5 years that might be hard to approve, but we need now, that could be used for ARPA funds, that's fine. There are some things that can't, but I believe what I thought I heard was they want to be able to set the money aside so that it's spoken for. Now, I don't know how much that's going to be Monday night, but I told them we'd bring a list so we could discuss it with them. So,
Were those minutes approved?
oh, I'm sorry.
Vote on it.
As minutes approved as amended?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended from, the minutes from March 2nd.
Okay.
I'll second.
Dan seconds. Harry abstains, wasn't here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so moved. Thank you, Mike. So I'd like you to look over the list. And as we go down, you can point things out to me, and not everything's gonna be there, because there's only 700,000, and we don't know what else has been approved. Paul, you've been at all the meetings. Do you know if there's anything else? I'm sorry, Paul Mattson is running the camera behind here filming us, so I'm asking Paul if he's aware of any other items that are out there of large that we're not aware of now.
Not that I can tell you.
Okay.
In other words, I'm not aware of anything, no.
Okay. All
In other
right.
words,
So
I think you covered it fairly well, quite well.
okay. So We're gonna be under the assumption that there's about 700,000 for us to discuss. Unless Seth has anything to mention?
I'm just looking at the updated figures. Select Board and Finance Committee, at the request of the Finance Committee, voted to use $43,000 towards next year's operating budget.
43,000?
43,000, so that
Okay.
would be
Of
from the
ARPA funds?
Yeah.
You can use, that's
Yes.
allowed?
Yes, it is.
Really?
Yep. So that's 771,860 minus the 43,000 is what's left.
Okay,
So my two big items.
And that's if the override fails, they'll use it. If it doesn't.
Yeah.
then
Okay.
It would be
Okay.
available. but-
So you'll be using it.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
My two big things, and I don't know a number to put to them, but if we're gonna spend 30,000 and 20,000 respectively on scope of work and evaluation for repairs between the library and the senior center and the public safety infiltration issues, I strongly feel and recommend that funds should be allocated to actually do those repairs once the scope of work is determined.
I agree with you, Joe. I think in the past, we have been foolish just allocating work funds that way for scoping out stuff that just went to waste because nothing was accomplished from it. So I think that should be it. But the question comes, because we don't know when the work is going to be done, if we set the money aside and we do that project work, that should we be using for ARPA funds at this point?
I'm based on the timeline, Seth, refresh me with the timeline as to when the funds have to be used. You told us.
We have to be closed out by December of '26.
So if we can't do a scope of work
Right.
and get the work done by 2026,
Yeah.
for those two, what I would call somewhat minor projects, we got real problems.
That's on the fire safety building, right?
It's on all
three
projects.
buildings.
All three buildings,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So that, I mean, to me, there's no reason in the world we can't get that done by 2026.
Okay. All right, so that's one recommendation we can make with those stipulations.
I mean, what they're not gonna like about that, I'm sure, is that they don't know the dollar amount. And it kind of ties up 700 and whatever the balance is, $730,000 or whatever. And I'm not saying all of that should be set aside, but I think, we have a rough idea based on that facility study of maybe what the magnitude could be.
Right.
And I think someone needs to make an educated estimate as to what we should set aside, based on what we know about each of those projects, and then figure out what the balance is to make other decisions for. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. The other thing that has to be made clear to the committee for the ARPA funds is that, or to the board, I do not believe we should be, these are simply recommendations for discussion purposes.
right.
We are not making formal recommendations because we have not evaluated each item yet. No paperwork has been given to us. We haven't been through the process. So we are providing them simply with items that we feel should be used for ARPA funds, but we still have to go through the process. Agree on that?
Yeah, we haven't evaluated either, but we've had a lot of discussion about the envelope concerns
Right.
with buildings.
Joe Buckley had made a recommendation last time we talked to him. He said that he thought some of the estimates in the building study were reasonably accurate, but they should be bumped up by about 25%.
Right, because of the age of the report.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So that could give us some ballpark estimate of what we're talking.
I think we can make an educated estimate, not necessarily us, but people,
Right, right.
to be able to figure out what of that some odd 100,000 could be set aside, should
Yeah.
be set aside.
So is there anything else there that we could use? Let's say we're going there with the idea of using up $770,000 worth of funds. So what would we be looking at to use that? And again, we might be pulling some 4 or 5-year projects back into today, or we're going to use it. So all the departments, committees are there based on that 5-year study.
So the public, if we're looking at the public safety building, I believe what that study showed was $235,000. And I believe that was inclusive of the study to determine the scope of work.
Okay,
And if we follow the recommendation that Joe made, and that should be confirmed, but, bump that up by whatever percentage, let's say we're talking 200, it's probably more than 250, but let's, just for round numbers, say 250 or $300,000 for that. And then the library, siding and trim, I believe that study had it at 100 grand. And I'm not seeing the library, oh no, it was the window, community center windows, they had that at 80 grand and another 100 grand for siding there. So 3, 4. So if we round that up to 3.
one of the things that
4, 5.
that I came across,
So you're at 600,000 right there.
one of the things that I came
What was
across
the community
was
center come to? I know it was
Community
siding.
center was 180 for both of them, and I'm rounding up. It's probably even a little bit more than 600 if you use a 25% factor, but let's say 600,000 for round numbers for those items.
community center.
Yeah.
Well, did that what about the interior infrastructure of it? I was made aware that there's some issue, they're looking to redo the kitchen, redo all the bathrooms, everything.
I think the kitchen was done recently, wasn't it? Wasn't something done in the kitchen there not too long?
Community center?
Yeah,
Yeah, the kitchen's fully done.
yeah, kitchen's
Oh,
done
yes.
at community center, yeah.
Okay.
They just had a ADA compliant report done, complete on the building to make all the bathrooms handicap accessible, stuff like that, so Joe has that.
So
With
there
a
was,
with a number.
so there's a report with a number.
Yep.
Do we have to pay for the report?
Yes, we voted at town meeting.
Okay.
To fund that project.
To me, there you go, there's another example where we got money for a report.
Right,
Let's set the money aside and get the work done.
Yep.
right,
To me, you got 700 grands right there between
Thank
those
you,
two
Joe, for coming.
buildings.
right.
Right.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Talking about feasibility studies and the status of them.
What was the library again, about 150 you said?
80.
180?
Oh, I'm sorry, library, 100.
100?
I just brought
And the
the
community center was
Community center.
180?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Did that not get to you guys?
What's that?
The ADA, I'm sorry. I was in finance. I got a text from Chair. Mind if I address you, the chair? Chair.
okay.
Mr. Seckman,
Yes,
did you get the ADA compliance report for the community center?
I have not seen it on my emails, but that doesn't mean I didn't get it because I've been involved with my wife at the hospital.
Okay,
So I try to keep looking on it, but I don't remember seeing that report, Joe.
okay. So there was an article passed at the fall town meeting that asked
Okay.
us to evaluate the building for things like handicapped accessible bathrooms, better accessible doors, any basic concerns. So we brought in Weston Sampson's architecture group, and they evaluated the building and generated a letter report. And you said you were reviewing that just when I walked in?
Yes, I let him know that was done.
Oh, okay, yes, it's done. And
What
then
was, for what they came back with, Joe, from a dollar perspective, is there an estimate of what it would be for the work?
There are dollar estimates, they're on the high side, they are for major items. The most expensive is the bathrooms.
Right.
But since then, Town Administrator Kelleher and the plumbing inspector and the building inspector reviewed the letter report and did a field visit and are in agreement that they have to get someone with an architect stamp to make recommendations. So you've got that initial cost, which will probably be about 10% of whatever you're gonna spend. I can forward it.
I got it. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty straightforward.
So,
It's more than the building cost.
so total, yeah, yeah, I think it is. So total construction cost, total estimated construction and engineering about 290, 289.
Wow.
So, again, coming back to our $740,000 numbers.
Yeah,
Public safety, library, community center. That's it.
It's probably not.
And you're not gonna have
all
enough
that.
there.
Okay, here's a question I have, and I've really been giving this some thought, and that is, for items that we need for this year, should we make recommendations on that versus coming out of our normal recommendations for town funds?
Well, based on the note I saw from Tamika, there is no free cash. So any recommendation that we make, I think, would be more addressed or cared for in the fall, after free cash is certified. I think the exception to that would be if there was anything in enterprise.
There's one article for enterprise funds.
There is an article for enterprise funds. It's for the truck you folks approved at the last meeting.
Right. So I think that's the only one. I mean, we haven't put anything through the rating process yet, but
Yeah.
We have an emergency water repair or replacement on Miles. Sorry, don't take this. It has to be replaced. I can't ask you. I just have to get it done. It just takes too long. It keeps breaking, so.
Okay. The reason I ask it is I'm going to touch the third rail, and that is our capital funds. We've got, what, 540 sitting there, something like that? If there's absolutely stuff that should be done this year, that is needed, should we recommend from the third rail?
from the third rail.
Or try to find some way that allotment that we have for this year not be given to the fund and be used for purchases for stuff. Now that's a serious thing to me.
I'm confused. What funds are you talking about?
Our capital
Stabilization.
fund. Every year we get money that put into that.
Could I make a suggestion?
By all means.
Through the chair, and you can speak to this. We put some money, so the facility study has a bunch of little repairs in it. Plumbing work, electrical work, and it's silly things. Go down and open all the valves, replace a pump for a boiler here or there. And we put $50,000 aside to address things like that. And I'm sure we talked to you folks about it when we did it. And what it ended up doing was we had 3 or 4 capital type emergencies that came up. Like we put a boiler at the community center, we repaired the gutters above the doors at the library. What did we do? We did some work at your place too.
Yep.
I would, if you do nothing, because in a perfect world, would it be operating money? Yeah, absolutely. We just don't have it in the operating budget. The deficits are too big. But I would give some thought to putting aside some money, $40,000 or $50,000, to address these repairs, or small repairs, so that you've got it in hand.
Yeah, before they become big repairs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess we just want to be careful what's considered capital and what's not.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if Joe,
Well,
let's say that they want to give us 5% this year, okay, that gets to the fund. What if we decline that and say give us 4% and use this for a fund to replace the money that should have been used for capital assets through... I'm trying to figure out a way to help the town or help these issues instead of just putting more money back into the capital fund in a real tough year.
So, I don't want to belabor the point, but we had, that was a giant help for addressing what I'd consider capital stuff. But if you want to better define that as part of the process, I'm good with that. It's just, you don't want to have somebody coming to the board to ask for $10,000 for a boiler.
Right.
And have a building shut down because you don't have the money in hand.
You know what, maybe we could discuss that kind of...
I think I sent those examples a year ago. Does that sound right, Joe? I would have sent what we did.
I remember seeing...
I wouldn't just, I would have defended it,
No, I do. I remember having a conversation and seeing something from you
Sent
about...
paper.
Yes.
We would have backed it up. I wouldn't
Yeah.
just, my point is...
Did we vote on that?
We didn't have to.
No, we didn't have to because
Everything
they,
was-
Article at a fall town meeting.
Yeah.
that
Because
put
they,
50,000 in an account for
Yeah.
that purpose.
Do you think it's a good,
the individual items are less than 10 grand.
but they shouldn't go to things like putting buying heating oil or
Right.
hiring somebody to clean out a boiler. They're
But
not meant for that.
But if I recall, that funding was secured through free cash. There was an
Correct, it
article
was.
put in from free cash for the purpose of various building
Correct,
repairs.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm just echoing what Harry had said.
Oh, I-
You should put some money aside and start taking some of this on.
Yeah.
And I just said, if you do nothing, put this little bit aside. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it wouldn't necessarily be capital stabilization money.
Right.
I think what you're saying is maybe we forego the capital stabilization deposit
Right.
for the purpose of instead redirecting that same sum of money to a special article for various
Special
building.
article capital assets, anything that needed this year that can't be funded, and we don't want to take it out of stabilization in a tough year.
The only other thing I want to say, in that same facility study, they speak extensively, and I think the new town administrator, Siganowitz, is trying to get some grant funds to address the ADA concerns at the community hall. And I think if you're going to put some priority on ADA compliance, let's start there. Because that's the place of business where, especially some of the older residents in town come in to pay tax bills and things like that. And that was called out in that report as quite insufficient. So give some thought to that.
To,
Addressing ADA concerns at,
You mean like the steps, the walkway,
exactly, the whole thing.
yeah.
oh, yeah, I don't disagree. I guess the only caveat there is the timing of the grant funding. I don't know when.
He's after it, he's gonna try, but I just think if you were to put some, so if you looked at all the buildings townwide, you wanna address your ADA concerns, I'd start there.
Yeah.
Well,
You
especially
agree?
since we paid for a report that's telling us what needs to be done.
No, but the second study grew out of a request from the director of the Council on Aging to put in a handicapped accessible door. And everybody collectively said, we really should look at the building entire and to put some priorities on it. So the article at the fall town meeting was over and above the existing study.
The reason I mention that, Joe, stabilization funds can be a nasty animal in terms of you let it grow, you let it grow, you let it grow, and then you're afraid to use it because something big might come up, and then it doesn't, and you never use it.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't disagree at all.
That's, I mean, in a critical time like this, the town did a fantastic thing of creating it. I think it was at your direction, Joe, we do that. Mark had implemented it. So I think it was an absolute wonderful thing, but in today's world, I think if this year, we need to look at how we can deploy some of that stuff without taking it out. And my reason was, hey, maybe we get the board to forego giving us this money this year, if it's possible. I've talked to Becky about that.
So you're suggesting a more
it's-
balanced approach.
What?
You're trying to suggest a more balanced approach. Yes, we have to have this money here.
We don't want to take it out, but we won't put more in.
We won't put-
Funny way to look at it, but
But does that make sense to everybody in terms of a time when we're so short of cash, we can't buy the stuff or do the stuff we...
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing tying us to putting money in. The only
Right.
thing that's tying us to putting it in is our financial policies. And our
Right.
financial policies is a self-imposed directive that we try to follow.
Right.
But there's no like bylaw or anything else that.
And I think it's great.
Oh, I do too. I think it's a good thing to do, yeah.
I think it's good, but
So, but that, I mean, it's really a conversation for the fall anyway.
have
Does
you
it-
hit into that?
Yeah, I mean,
for
this won't
anything?
get into ARPA funds at all. I'm just thinking if we can't, the stuff we have here is pretty big ticket items for the ARPA funds. So we can't really get into small stuff at this stuff, because I guess I'd have to assume if this 128 is gonna be gone by something, somewhere,
Okay.
out of somebody else's money. So if we do it, we at least can let the board know that maybe this is something that should be done in the fall, if we need stuff that ARPA funds now will not cover anymore. We got $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 items. Maybe we can fund.
Yeah, I
a couple of
don't
those.
know. I was looking for the balance and I don't have that offhand. The most recent balance I have goes back to fiscal '21.
Of what, ARPA?
capital stabilization.
Oh, I think Becky told me it's like 540 or something, if I remember. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, it grew fast, if that's the case, because in fiscal year '21, it was 260.
Yeah.
But maybe we had large, I can't remember what we put in over the last 2 fiscal years. I don't know if it amounts to another 250, but maybe it does.
But it's something I can ask Becky at Monday
Yeah.
again, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna be able to be there, Mike?
Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. Dan? Okay. Joe won't, he's
No.
a previous engagement.
Yeah.
So I'll be there. Okay.
But honestly, I mean, I don't know if we need to take a vote or go through some rate and rank, but to me, those are
Well,
the big
because
things.
we're not officially recommending these things to the finance and the board, I don't really think we need to take a vote on it. I think this is more an opinion of we can take it a vote, an opinion of this is what we would like to see the ARPA funds spent on. If,
Do you want a motion? And then we can talk through it. I would make a motion that the CIPC recommend to the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee that ARPA balances be used to be allocated towards the construction work on the library, senior center, identified through the scope of work, and the public safety building identified through the evaluation of repairs needed there.
okay. And what about the study
Can I
dollars?
speak to the roof quick?
What about the study dollars you mentioned? Was
Well, those are already allocated according to
Oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Mike, could you read that back to us? What it said?
Joe made a motion that the ARPA funds would be used, as I put as outlined above. I wrote down the 3 buildings and the exterior work, the windows and the siding and everything that we're looking at.
Okay.
And I've got some dollar amounts.
You know what, I'll add to that too, the ADA compliance report. For the
ADA compli-
senior center,
Look, there may not be enough money for all of that, right?
community center, yeah, it's old hat.
It's all
Keep
good.
calling it the
It's all
senior
good.
center.
Okay. Joe made a motion for the use of the items Mike mentioned for the 3 critical areas that need the major funding. Do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion on it?
Did I miss something? I don't know if
Joe?
you wanted to say something, Joe.
We had secured funds through an article to do the evaluation, basically the design of the roof repairs in this building. And when we brought them in to do the design, we brought the same firm in to look at the leak in the roof at the senior center. Myself and the chief have identified, public safety, sorry. Myself and the chief identified enough funds, existing funds, to get the evaluation completed and a preliminary design. But that's gonna be paramount, because it rains in his office.
That's
Yeah.
the one I was referring to in my motion.
Oh, all right.
For the public safety infiltration,
You need a timeline?
no.
When will the scope of service report be done, do you think?
Yeah.
August, September?
Okay.
As long as it's before 2026, that's the timeline.
Yeah.
Okay. Seth, would you like to add anything to that?
No.
Or any comment on it?
No, Joe and I have been working hard to get some of these things done.
Okay.
As you know, we sat on the original ARPA committee to secure some of these funding, recommend this source of funding to the Board of Selectmen. They approved it, and we've moved forward with some of these things. And through the spreadsheet that I had sent on the use of ARPA funds, there are some other monies available for the woodhouse repairs as well. Joe was able to get the chimneys all redone, the front steps, a lot of the issues that were hanging out there. And the Historical Society donated
Money for the boiler.
money for a new boiler for the building, so that's been installed and is up and running as well.
Okay.
So a lot of good things going on.
I'd like to review one more thing, the money we talked about. I've got the community center at 180, plus a reasonable markup. I've got the public safety building at 230.
Hang on, let me get back to I gotta find the reference.
Just a second. when you're done reviewing, there's one more critical issue I have to bring to the table.
Okay.
All right, so start over again. Mike.
Okay, public safety, 230,000, plus a reasonable markup,
235.
235. The library, I've got 100, again, plus a reasonable markup. The community center, 180, plus a markup. Now, what was the ADA? Did that 180 include the ADA?
290.
The ADA was 290, 290. I thought I was leaving that out, yeah.
Where are you getting these numbers from, Joe?
These were the numbers provided in that,
Letter report.
that report, the facilities report.
Oh,
Yeah.
back from like a year ago? Year and a half
Yeah.
ago, okay.
During Ron's
Well, no,
tenure.
the handicap.
The handicap was from this most recent ADA.
Yeah. Right.
But all the other numbers that we're referring to
Okay, I don't
came,
think I've received that.
the big, you know, it's
It's
like a
massive.
stack of paper this big.
No,
Yeah.
that one, yeah, no, the ADA one, I don't think I got it.
No, it was an email.
Okay.
Yeah, I never saw the
Let me see
ADA
who's
report
on it, then
either.
I'll send it to you.
Now, Joe, you had said you thought a reasonable markup was 25% over the numbers in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Construction costs have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Post-pandemic.
Oh, I'm not questioning that, I just, for the number, I'll write up a little something.
Yeah, I've been sticking with around 25%.
I'll send you, I'll write up a little something on this and send it to Mary.
It's not in mine.
And if we
Oh,
can
wait a
send it Monday.
minute. Dan Gracie, Gmail?
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
So,
Mike, what's your most recent email? That's chatter.net one?
No, it's Gmail, Ferguson Michael 1500 at gmail.com. And I almost missed this meeting because you had sent it to the old MJ Fergie account.
Oh, you know what? I gotta change that on the agenda then.
And I sent that through to the town, some of the people who were scheduling this meeting Monday. And so they had the updated.
Send it to you again.
I'm sure I have it somewhere, but give it to me again.
I sent my email, I sent the minutes to you in it.
I didn't see it. You know,
Ferguson, Michael.
wait a minute. Which way did you send it to? Gmail or HESRP?
HSRP, I believe.
Okay.
This ARPA file, Seth, the one that you sent a little while ago, that's updated from the,
Yeah, I think so.
Previous
Because,
version.
They had used some money to balance
Okay.
the shortfall in the TA's
1500.
balance.
oh, that's in here,
Yeah, it's in
okay.
there,
Okay.
yeah.
Go into your contact information, I mean, delete anything that has
Mr.
MJ Fergie in it.
Okay.
in that list of ARPA,
One was charter, and that no longer.
there's a critical
works.
item in there, it's around 128,000. It was to find,
I've been using this one for
new water sources.
almost 3 years now,
I,
and you're not the only
Can't-
one that's still.
In the ADA one?
no, in the ARPA.
Oh, in the ARPA, okay.
Did I say ADA, did I misspeak?
I don't know, maybe, I might have misheard.
Okay, so, that has to get done. The town has no backup water supply, and the town's growing significantly. We have the one reservoir, it's in great shape, it's, spring fed, we've been very lucky, but we have no backup. And what I mean by that is, if there's like some type of a spill in the reservoir, if there's some type of a bacterial infection, or something goes, or massive drought, or something we don't know about, something goes wrong, the town has no backup. What I mean by backup is we have no connections to other towns, we have no secondary water sources like a well, and that ARPA money was put aside to come up with, to pay to have some hydrogeological work done, because both myself and the chief agree that if at all possible, our secondary source should be a well. We don't want to be tied to another town if we don't have to be, and limited by capacities. Correct?
Correct. And just so you know, we've reached the point that over 50% of the residents in town
53%.
are now on town water. So,
So it's critical to get that backup.
So that, if I'm reading this right, that's already been allocated.
It's already been allocated, but there was some concern that some folks in the select board thought it would be in our best interest to possibly talk to some other consulting firms. And we've done that, and that's still under investigation, but over the next year or so, it's paramount that that work gets done.
How much are we talking about that you carved out of ARPA?
129?
Yep.
129.
But that's already, the 771
That's already accounted for.
That's already accounted for in
there,
application.
okay.
Yes, yep.
But here's the real thing, and I bring it up because if you're gonna develop a second source, or you're gonna tie to another town, you're looking at $500,000,
Yeah, oh, at least.
okay? So just file that away. But I stand by what I said, it's paramount that that work gets started up.
Joe, have their sites been picked for a well?
That's why the hydrogeologist is there. The original proposal included the groundwater modeling, the GIS modeling, and the well testing.
Okay, so we're not sure where it's gonna go?
No.
Okay. What's the time frame for maybe finding out? A year? 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months to a year.
And then what's the time frame for developing that well and tying it in? Another
About the
6
same
months?
amount of time, yeah.
So before we can go online and be functional, we're looking at a possible 2 years out from
Right.
start.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years, yeah.
Yep.
That's a long time on these people.
But this is the capital improvement committee.
Yeah.
You guys have to look long-term.
I know.
I'm trying to put it out there.
I'm just thinking that Mushkapog has to survive for 2 to 3 years.
I think the yield's all right.
Yeah.
It's not so much that, it's the backup. There's no suspenders. And the belt, you know.
Right, oh, I've been
that's okay.
saying that for years, Joe, absolutely, I've been saying that for years.
I mean, you could, and here's the thing, so even if you were to extend a line into Holden and connect to the Holden system, you're still 150 to 200 feet below Holden, above Holden. So you either have to get a portable pump or build a pump station. It's not as easy as just tying into Holden because the pressures aren't there.
I think you're looking at a well, though.
Right.
Long-term, it's a better choice.
Well, if we're below them, we could always, maybe have a leak coming down to us.
It's more of a
Now, the
hole
town
than-
does have some land put aside for wells in the Quabbin watershed or the Ware River watershed. DCR might be, they might play game, or, be willing to swap that land for another piece of land in their watershed for water supply purposes. So don't discount that either.
The one that charges for the
So
water
how-
comes out of that watershed.
Yeah.
How long have DPW, sewer, the town, been working on a project like this? Years going back, or has that just started?
Like 15 years.
Yeah,
15 years?
yep.
Okay.
And that 129 is just the study.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was involved.
Has some of it been spent?
No, nothing.
And here again, to Joe's point, if we're carved out 129,000 for a study, we're going through with the project.
Oh, yeah, you're going through with it. You don't have a choice.
We don't want to burn that money and install. Right?
Yeah, but you still have to find the money to pay for the well and the
Well, to be
infrastructure.
bonded. and
Well, that's
paid
what I
for the
mean, so.
Yeah, you'd be
Once we,
borrowing that and then.
once we agree to start this thing,
Couple of thoughts, because it always comes up. Somebody's always after you to tie into the aqueduct. The aqueduct that's 500 to 700 feet below town. Seriously.
to tie into that?
Yeah.
To try and draw water from an emergency.
Oh, yeah.
So you're gonna pump it up 500 to 700 feet.
No.
And then another 150 feet to the plant, because it's not treated. And you're gonna pay a premium for it because it's MWRA water. And
It's already
the most expensive water.
in the system.
Yeah.
It's the most expensive water, on the East Coast.
Okay.
So no, don't go into the aqueduct.
Yeah. That's the Worcester's backup supply, and the electric bill alone, when they pump out of that shaft 3.
If it works, remember?
If it works,
If it works.
every year they fire it up and they dim the lights over the whole town of Princeton. That's not a joke.
It's no joke. It was, I want to say 65, the last nasty drought was 1965.
Yeah.
And that's what prompted them to put in that connection.
Yeah, they do buy from Quinnipiac quite a bit. Oh, they have on a
Yeah.
number of occasions. And that's pretty expensive water too, but the electric costs aren't near as much.
No.
Joe, for water supply, would you happen to know regionally how effective the inflow of water is to our sources? I mean, you hear throughout the rest of the country that things are really getting bad from an inflow standpoint, from a water flow
So
standpoint.
we call that recharge.
Right.
Do I have an estimate on how the
Not only-
robustness of our recharge?
No, I'm just saying are we better or worse off than another section of country can, like Boston, Springfield, Worcester, these heavy-use cities,
Boston.
is it being resupplied enough that we're not gonna face a critical issue from them in the future?
I would like to think the folks at the Massachusetts DEP who operate they permit all of these water systems, and they're pretty strict about it. What do you call it? Water
DCI,
Management Act.
yeah.
Water Management Act, sorry.
Yeah.
The Water Management Act, those folks do keep a pretty tight rein on that to make sure that there aren't, abuses.
You say field isn't exceeding what's available.
Right.
And that's done pretty good. And in the Northeast here, well, we've had some droughts. It's not like out west,
It's not like out west.
Okay. The other thing is the Holden issue for its quota on Mushkapog.
Do I have the ability I can't speak to that. It'll probably stay there as a backup for them forever.
Okay.
But
All right. You don't
Holden, so in the early 90s, most of the Massachusetts towns who did surface water had to start, if you had a surface water supply, you had to treat it. That was the surface water rule. Mike can speak to that. They spent $1 gazillion building the plant in Worcester for surface water treatment.
Yep.
Rutland built their plant. Holden didn't want to pony up the cash, and they weren't going to get into that business. They instead changed the entire direction of their water system and made it possible to buy water from Holden. So they get well water out in town, and they augment it with water they buy from Worcester.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Okay.
Do they still have a connection to Mushkapog?
No.
No.
I didn't think
But
they did.
it's a paper connection.
A paper
Right.
connection.
It's a
Right.
paper.
In theory.
Yeah.
Right.
Big pump station, a lot of hose.
Should the time come when we want to enforce this, it's on paper.
Yeah.
But that's Massachusetts, that's common.
Okay, that's my questions.
So I'm just gonna try to bring us back to
Thank
move
you.
this to completion,
So-
because we have a motion on the table.
Oh,
Sorry
that's
about
still, there's still a motion
No,
on
I
there.
just-
That should be my job.
I just had to make sure that doesn't.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you've answered my questions about that. That money is already earmarked.
Okay.
It is. It
So
may
we
not
have
be
a
enough at
motion-
this point because we didn't spend it because of the debate on the consultant.
Okay.
But-
Yeah.
All right. We have a motion on the table, it's been seconded, it's been still discussion. Any more discussion before we go to final vote? Hearing none, do I have a vote on the motion? Dylan?
All right.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
All right, Harry, I'll try and put this in a small little paragraph for you
Okay,
for Monday. Our recommendation on this issue.
okay,
And that would, boy, if they got that, that would eat up all the funds. And that there may be other priorities we're not aware of at the
well, that's what I
moment.
mean, but these things, I mean, when you spend the money to do studies on this stuff and you don't do the project, I mean, that's, okay,
The only other way would be like floating the bond or
yeah.
some emergency supply of money that comes through over the next year.
We floated bonds and water.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm talking about. There may be a surplus due to the land sale.
Yeah, okay. They're fighting over that in the other room.
Okay.
Well,
Is there any more discussion on that list that I sent? Because this is pretty much what our recommendations are. If they ask me a question, well, you don't have any small stuff on here, what
well,
would be the answer?
we got Joe Sweeper on there.
But that's not for ADA.
No,
Okay.
and there's no cash, so.
But if I gotta see how much money we forgo, but if we forgo, there are certain items that could be applied to the money that won't be deposited this year.
But this is
If
strictly on
it's so used.
So this list here, you put this together, Harry, and this came from that big study?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, okay.
Over a 5-year period. Do you have a copy of that, Joe?
But this is the 22 to 26.
What's that?
This is the list you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, this is more than just that study, right? Like it's the dump and stuff that
We could really use a van.
For cleaning?
Which is the truck you did say you might need, Joe?
That was the cleaning truck.
No, it was another one.
No, you mentioned not a plow or a dump truck, a
Are you talking about the water supply?
Yeah.
Well, you ordered one.
Did you?
Yeah, 5 ton dump. Well, we haven't ordered it yet, but it's a article in this town meeting.
Okay,
Sorry, I misspoke.
It's in,
because you had mentioned that, the last meeting we
Yeah,
had.
we put it out, it's an article.
oh, yeah, that's the one we approved, we recommended in our
Yep.
report last year,
Right.
okay.
Right, so I didn't include it in the minutes, I was confused that there might have been another.
There might have been a few items there that I went through from our list, Joe.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's not
okay,
all
okay.
5-year. There were some items, as I went through and looked at the stuff that was submitted over, I pulled it from that too.
Yeah, well, the 5-year report that you went through and got a lot of them out of that.
Yeah. But I wanted to kind of encapsulate it so we could see exactly what kind of money we're talking about for each department.
Hello?
Oh, my volume's off already. No phone calls I have to take. You might.
How you doing, Mike? You okay?
Oh, yeah, things are well. Things are well. I'm gonna call and make an appointment with Eric, so.
I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, he's busy and I don't want him paper here right now.
Yeah, yeah. I get all his notes and his emails and everything.
Yeah, I was just looking at what we recommended last year, and I
See you
think
there tonight.
the air the breathing stuff, that was purchased, Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all installed.
The Woodhouse structural repairs,
Yep.
On mine,
sewer service truck, that's the one I think he,
Yeah,
That one's, we're waiting on a bin.
that one's what?
It's been ordered.
That one's been ordered, and the 5-ton dump,
It's an article.
that's the one that's an article.
Yep.
And then the Woods House, the second half of the Woodhouse roof repair.
I haven't done anything with that. I just got the chimneys done. We didn't want to take on.
Was that money appropriated? I know we recommended it, I can't remember if the money
No,
was.
but I think we might have enough left in chimney money to do it.
Okay.
Chimneys came in much better than we thought. We were getting the mason to make a bunch of other repairs.
And then I think the replacement of the electrical switchgear over at Naquag,
that was taken care of.
I think that wasn't done yet?
I thought.
got the
I thought-
design.
What's that?
I just got the design like Friday of last week.
Okay.
I can send you that.
Was the money appropriated for that?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
I
that was
thought.
used for
Okay.
I just
cash.
don't know if we have enough,
Yeah.
Okay.
but I did get the evaluation done. And the design's ready to go. It came with 2 options, either rebuild or replace. Replace came in much cheaper.
Okay.
I can send you that report.
Yeah, I mean, our piece is kind of done on it, but be cool to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had time on to it.
So I was just making sure everything that we recommended last year got covered, and it looks like it
Okay.
is covered, so.
All right.
As far as rating of this year, what are we looking at? We got the sweeper in front of us, and is there anything else?
That's kind of a big ticket item.
No, and that was, when I met with Gary, I said, that's one of the problems is that I think because the 5-year plan was done, some of the committees or departments think that we're automatically going to apply the 5-year plan without resubmitting.
I don't know why they should think that, though, because Gary sent out a note to everybody saying, before you submit articles, it's got to go to CIPC, so I mean.
Right, but
What's the
fire, DPW,
email?
library,
What is my email? I got 3, so I'm always figuring out what the hell.
Joseph.becker@verizon.com.
Nah, that's my work. Let's not do that one. jbecker1975@gmail.
this is year of birth, just so you know. It's you're as old as Eric.
Yeah, we went to school together.
Yeah. What month were you born?
September.
September? Okay. He was March.
You should have it.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so are we finished discussing this for now? Everybody feel comfortable that what we're doing is where we should be?
Yeah, I mean, my only question would be if we want to put a report of recommendations together, what's that going to look like? Because again, based on what we have in front of us, the only item we have is a sweeper. So we can certainly verbalize what we voted on in that article in a report, and we can also, recommend the sweeper.
Right.
if we chose, but is there, because normally this is the time of year when we put the report of our recommendations in front of the select
Right.
board, knowing that it's not going to be acted on at the Maytown meeting because there's usually not money,
Right.
but it's usually brought forward to the special in the fall.
Well, I'd say we can, but we don't have, the only thing we have paperwork on is the sweeper at this point.
Serious? Just the sweeper?
So we don't have anything else to.
It wins.
Huh? It wins?
That's all there is, that's all there is.
You're at the top of the list.
Well, the scary thing is, you'll get the money for the sweeper, but there'll be nobody left to drive it.
Well, you know what? I was just gonna say that. How many people?
Train me, Joe, I'll drive it,
do you have
especially on
now,
my
Joe,
street.
that you don't have enough people to employ it.
Don't even go.
You're trading, you know, you're moving chess pieces.
I'll use my street and I'll drop it off.
There you go. We'll make our
Well,
rounds.
for Monday,
Okay.
basically, we're gonna be dealing with the ARPA funds.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Right.
But I think we should probably put that line of thought. It's great that the conversation's being had on Monday, but I also think if that's the way we feel, and obviously it is because we voted that way, it should be put into our report that knowing the ARPA funds are out there and knowing that those are all capital initiatives that we talked about, that money is being spent on within ARPA, to do studies on, that we feel strongly that funds should be allocated to do the work once
That would
that
be brought
scope
up
is
that night, too.
determined.
Yeah,
Yeah, but put it, and we can memorialize it
Right.
in writing
in our report.
through our report.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That would be my thought.
Do you want me to just write up a blurb on this? I'm not sure I'll have the full minutes done
Yeah.
for Monday, but something to present to the committee.
I can try to, if we're okay with the sweeper and those items, I can try to get our report written so you have it in hand on Monday, if that would help.
Well, if you could do that, Joe, that would be
That's-
great.
Yeah,
All right.
well, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking of doing, but,
Oh, okay, yeah.
you know, I don't care. That's why I was checking with the numbers, to make sure I had the
Yeah.
right numbers.
But if we could do that report, that's something I'd also then like to turn into the board.
Right.
Yeah,
Just report.
just a one little report, not the entire minutes.
Right.
Seth?
Just so you know, there is an article placed in the draft warrant right now, the capital, in the annual capital plan. So if you propose the sweeper this year, whether you took it from your capital stabilization, there's already an article placed. It'll either be passed over if there's nothing going forward, but you'd have the option to recommend that.
Yeah, and Tamika sent an email on that, and basically that was her question, is there
Yeah.
anything that's gonna fall under here? And my hunch is no.
Yeah.
Because even if we recommend the sweeper, there's no money to pay for
Well, I
the
mean, your only option would be the capital stabilization account,
Right.
Yeah.
which would take half of it.
Do we have a new salt
Yeah.
shed?
What's
I
that?
do like a new salt shed.
Salt shed.
You like salt?
Don't have enough storage for our salt. Do we have a new salt shed? Oh, here we go. You ready? 35,000.
I don't know, another town had, came to Bay, I think that's outside the scope of a project that Bay Path could do.
It is.
Because another town actually asked, and they're evaluating it to determine.
Bay Path to do it?
Yeah, to build it, yeah, I mean, you get to pay for materials, but the labor is, but I think it's outside the
Who
scope.
cares about your sweeper? I know I saw,
Salt shed. That was salt
that
shed. Come on.
sweeper. I know I saw the quote you had for that, but I can't remember what it was. I never got a copy of it.
Quarter million.
Quarter of a million? Oh, I thought it was more than that.
Joe, does it have more than one function or just sweeping streets?
Just sweeping streets.
Okay.
They're expensive now. When I worked with Mike, we were buying them a buck and a quarter a pop.
That was a few years ago, Joe.
I think it's funny we've come so far. We had cars that drove on dirt roads and we didn't think twice about slipping on the stones. Now we have street sweeper because there's so much liability out there, we can't.
No, that has nothing to do with it at all. It's compliance with federal stormwater regulations.
Yeah, well, again,
You want to do this, Joe? I'll just do the regular minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Because I kinda got a template anyway.
And you've got all the money?
Gentlemen, I gotta run. Thank you.
okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, so he'll send that to you for Monday.
So the only thing we would wanna do is take an official vote on the street sweeper.
On the street sweeper. I thought we already recommended that.
We've never voted on it.
Oh, we did?
With our rating system and everything.
Okay. Do we have a rating on that, Joe?
No, I don't know that we,
Nothing to compare it to.
Nothing to compare it.
what are we
Doesn't matter
weighing
what
it
it rates.
against?
And the 250, where's that gonna come from? That's,
That would have to be from allocated monies that would go into our fund and,
I would say available funds.
yeah.
We would determine available funds, whatever those might be. Then, I mean, we're making a recommendation on the item.
Yeah.
The funding is kind of a whole separate,
Right, and if we're not rating anything else,
Doesn't really matter
we
what we
just
rate.
state that the rating was immaterial, as there was no other item against it that we recommended for that year. Because we know it'll probably come in somewhere around 27, 28 maybe. Certainly not gonna rate it 35 or 40, so.
No, it's, based on what Joe said, it's needed, but
Right.
it's reached the point where the other ones cost them more than it's worth.
Okay, so we had no previous requests that were not funded at this point.
From last year, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
None that we voted on.
Right.
Oh, well, there was a list of little things that we didn't include.
Yeah, we put down stuff that we didn't recommend on the report.
Right.
Whatever. Okay.
Low priority items.
2024 recommendations, Select Board and Finance Committee. I've been behind the 8 ball on that because we normally have it in there by March. And here we are in the middle of April, but I still have to get it to them.
well, I think that's what we're talking here, right? The
Is that what you're
recommendation.
talking about?
Yeah, the recommendations will be the motion we had tonight and then
Okay.
the street sweeper.
Okay.
And that's what I'll type up and you guys can bring
All
with
right.
you on Monday.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, that takes care of old and any other new business?
Should we send a response back to Tamika regarding Article 13? Because she was asking, I don't know if any of you saw this email. Who's on it here? Oh, I guess it was just you and me, Harry. And so I'll just read it so everyone knows what it is. I apologize for short notice, but I'm hoping you can discuss the following warrant article that has been put on as a placeholder. I would need a dollar amount for the motions document if you're proposing spending any of the funds in FY '24. We don't have any free cash available, but there are water and sewer retained earnings available. If there is nothing you see fit for purchase this year, then she'll remove the article. So basically, this is the article, the capital planning article for any capital purchases. You know, it's on the annual town meeting warrant every year.
Okay.
But my suggestion is that she can remove it, because I don't see anything. If there's no free cash, then I don't see anything happening in May at the annual.
Right.
So, I mean, we can, if everyone's good with that, I can shoot her a note back to that effect.
Okay, is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, well, that doesn't include the sweeper.
Right, but I can let her know, if we do vote for the sweeper, I can let her know that we recommend that be addressed in the fall once free cash is certified.
Right.
Right. And at this point, we don't have anybody to run it, so it's
No,
not
it's not
a
a
critical
problem.
issue.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I'm okay with that.
So,
Dan?
so in addition to that, I'd make a motion that the CIPC recommend for FY '24 capital item being the sweeper.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion on it?
No.
Hearing none, do I have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. And aye. Okay, so moved.
Okay. Are we gonna schedule another meeting, or?
Yes. Well, actually, June is our, so I suppose maybe we should, I don't know what May's gonna be like, but May, we can do May. I've got surgery on the 16th, which I should be okay by the 23rd, so let me see what May looks like. Where's May? Where's my calendar? There we go.
Wow. I shouldn't say this, but all my Thursdays are free in May, except for golf.
Yeah, I should be available. 18th, I'm not gonna be able to make. I think that's gonna be too close to my surgery to be able to move around. I'm sorry, the 16th, I can't make it, but the 25th, if we wanna move it to the last Thursday of the month, or let me see what the 12th is.
May 12th is a Friday, you mean the 11th?
11th is, yeah, 11th, I'm sorry, 11th. That would be the second week, we're meeting now. So we could do the 11th
What,
or the 25th,
what would we have on the agenda for that meeting?
clean up really,
Yeah,
for the end of the year.
okay.
What are the two dates?
11 and 25 for May.
I'm not around for either, sorry.
Okay,
I could do either.
Yeah,
9th,
I can do either. The 25th is a little tougher. It's going into Memorial Day weekend.
oh, that's right, okay. What
Well, it's a
about,
Thursday, so it's, Friday would be the more critical day for me.
what about the 9th maybe? Of May,
Tuesday.
yeah.
I'm okay the
10th
9th.
is, well, I could do the 10th in the evening, Wednesday.
I'm okay the 9th or the 10th.
You're okay?
9th or 10th, yeah.
I'm okay the 10th.
Okay,
9th, I'm good. Let me check the 10th. Wednesdays tend to be tougher.
all right, why don't we say Tuesday the 9th then? And I'll get that, and book it upstairs. Tuesday, 5. And if we go to June we gotta do, because that's when we make election of officers again and so
Oops.
forth and so on. I don't think anybody's coming up for renewal in 23. Okay, so,
Is it June or July, after July we want to do that?
what's that?
It would,
We
it would
often
be,
skip July, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
yeah.
So-
Because June is still a little too early because it's still the same fiscal year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we, and that we can look at electing officers for July.
We could do early June, maybe the 8th.
If you wanted to, I got pretty much all the dates open.
What do we want to do in June, though? What do we need to do in June?
Probably not a lot, because I'm scheduling May for cleanup stuff.
May makes sense. I just don't know
Okay.
what we'd be doing in June. How about, do you want to just schedule May and see if we need to do
There's
anything
no
in June?
requirement, we meet every month.
Right, especially in the summer when
We'll
there's
meet
not a
in May
lot.
and discuss it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
Danny, you okay with that?
Sounds
All
good.
right, so we'll leave it at May 9th, May 9th.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Next meeting, 6:30. And we're gonna try to get the same room. Carrie assured me if we're, book this and for some reason we get bumped, there's the history room upstairs that holds about 6 seats. And we can be there.
Yeah,
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Anything else under new business? Or old business? No, hearing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved at 7, I guess 7:42.